Namaste, welcome to Satsang today. Thank you, Claire, for those announcements. So, we have been looking at the fundamentals of this teaching of the last two satsangs. There are basically three really core fundamentals called the core teachings, which have their own playlist in YouTube as well, if you want to look those up. And we have looked at self-inquiry, and we've looked at meditation last week. And today we're going to look at contemplation as a spiritual tool in our toolkit for spiritual emergencies, the ones that we have where the mind is doing its thing and there's some strong emotion and experience happening, and it's just, what do we do then? So I'll give a little explanation of what I mean by contemplation and why we would want to do it. And then the best way to demonstrate it is just to do it live. If people have some stuff coming up, some emotions happening, we'll go through it with as many people live as we've got time for here on this session, because that's the best way to see how it actually works. So for me, where this contemplation came from is in my own awakening journey. I had, like everyone, persistent negative emotions, karmic patterns, those repeating thought loops, this same old emotion, the same old kind of trigger event happening in the world, same experience again and again, those Groundhog Day times. And they've been going on, but as I deepened in my seeing as to who I really am, that there's only me, there's only the one being, and it's experiencing itself through all of these bodies. And in each of these human bodies, it's convinced that it's separate to everyone else. And then when it's convinced it's separate to everyone else, it has starts to think about other beings and other things. And these karmic patterns develop from this belief in being as someone, a separate, limited being. And as my seeing got deeper, that had never been true. That there was something so much different than I had taken myself to be. That was wonderful. I was finally starting to see, but something else was happening at the same time, and it may be happening for you too. So on one hand, this seeing was getting deeper, and there was more and more peaceful moments, let's say. But then every now and again, and with increasing frequency, there'd be this eruption of energy in the body, this negative emotion, and a whole bunch of thoughts. And instead of getting better, these karmic patterns, they were getting worse, much worse. In fact, it all came to a kind of a crisis point before I learned this tool of contemplation and began to discover that the deeper I go into my awakening, the more I see that I'm the source of everything, that I've always been safe, that I can't die because I'm not a thing. You can't kill something or harm something that isn't a thing. Only the body can die and was born. And the closer I got in touch with my own essence as this formlessness, the more there was a sense that there's never been anything wrong with me. But then the effect that had was my old thought structure was still going. I was still thinking about myself in the same way. Somehow I'd kind of somehow thought that upon seeing who I really am, there'd be this magical transformation in my thought structure. But it wasn't like that. What began to happen was everything was coming up and really, really fast. And with such intensity because the deeper your awakening's gone, the less you can resist any emotion, and the less you'd want to. So I really felt these emotions the best I could, felt them and felt them and felt them. And I'm talking specifically about despair and shame, anger, fear, a lot of guilt. I'm sure these are everybody's cocktail of, person emotions. And they were just getting stronger and very explosive, and it was clear that there was something happening. So the first thing I eventually figured out was that these patterns weren't getting worse or more frequent because I was doing something wrong. I'll say this very often because it's really important. In fact, because my seeing is deepening of who I really am, that these thoughts now are so far out of alignment with this real self that I am, the idea that I could be less than I need to be, that there's something wrong with me, that I'm not safe, that I don't deserve to have what I want and need, and even don't deserve to exist, was at the root of my shame. That were really behind these emotions, because as much as I felt these emotions, it just kept on coming. So finally I realized just feeling them isn't going to be enough. I'm going to have to do some deeper kind of investigation here. This is where the contemplation came from. And these things were coming to the surface, coming to a head, so that I had to look at them. Because if I wanted to live like this, that means the truth that I am has to flow through the thought structure. And if that thought structure is very rigidly, this is what I think is true, it's very hard for it to do that. These things are going to come up and ask you to examine them. So contemplation came from realizing that the reason for these strong emotions, and it could be even if there's not an intense emotion, but one that comes up for me, there were these strong emotions like fear that would come and be the most unwelcome visitor. Intense fear. But there were things like irritation and impatience, frustration, and they would be daily friends. They would go around everywhere with me. And finally, I began to realize that the amount of discord between what I'm feeling in my meditation, more peace, more love, a deeper sense of quietness and rest, and everything's actually okay. Nothing has ever been wrong. And then these moments where my body and my mind and my nervous system just seem to, erupt. We're just becoming, there's a bigger and bigger gap, and I just couldn't live like that anymore. So began to ask the emotions what the story was behind them. I can't even remember now how I got this idea, recognition. I must have heard it from some teaching somewhere that underneath the emotion is a thought that is unconscious to us because it's so believed, so true to our separate sense of someone that we don't even recognize that we're thinking it anymore. In fact, we wouldn't even know it's there if it wasn't for the effect it was cascading through the body as an emotion. First it's a thought, and then it produces a hormonal response that we call an emotion that floods the body and overwhelms the system sometimes. And if we can come to look at these emotions as stories needing to be recognized, then the emotional charge begins to dissipate because we're looking at it. It doesn't have to show up so much in our finances, in our relationships, in our body, in our health, in our work. It can show up on an emotional level. And as we're looking at the emotion, it can then just show up on the thought level. So these are thoughts that we have come into this body-mind incarnation with, latent, that we've carried. Desire to feel safe because maybe we don't feel safe. Desire to feel loved, accepted, to feel empowered, to feel free, to not feel limited. And these become more and more of an issue the more that you wake up. So they have to be examined in order to live like this, allow our thought structure to reorganize itself so that your body and mind is a clear, increasingly clear vessel, channel, whatever word you want to use to allow this being that you are to express itself through, and also to feel permanent peace and love and joy. So what we do then is we look at the emotion and ask it, sit with that emotion the best that we can. Even you can do it even if you're not actually feeling it right now. And you can remember the emotion, get in touch with it, ask it what it wants to tell you. And if you want to try this, there is on helenhamilton.org, on the introductory teachings page, there is a document, emotions and hidden beliefs. And these were my examples. So these are the stories that came from these emotions that were felt here. And you obviously want to do your own investigation, but it will give you a head start. I'll try to remember to put the link in the description for the YouTube video. So fear was the first emotion I ever remember feeling, right from my earliest memory, fear. Sometimes just quietly in the background, sometimes very much in front. So eventually, after feeling fear and fear and fear for years, actually, consciously allowing myself to feel it, still it was coming in such abundance. I finally sat and asked it what it wanted to tell me, which took a lot of courage at first. But the moment I asked it, it began to diminish. Its charge began to diminish. My body was able to relax a little bit. And it said, I'm not safe. I'm not safe. I'm in danger. And I realized that this kind of fight or flight mechanism, this emergency panic mode, is how I'd been living my entire existence. So, and this is the case with most of us because we've believed that we are a separate being and that we were going to die. We were born and we're going to die. At some point, I'm going to cease to exist. That thought is so terrifying that we push it down because it's just taken as true, of course, until we know who we really are. And then from that, the body and everything has to cope with that energy that's trapped in the system because we have no way as a separate being to kind of deal with that. And shame said, you don't deserve to exist. And guilt, unworthiness said, there's something really wrong with me, something fundamentally flawed about me. And again, these are just my beliefs when I looked at them. And shame, guilt, unworthiness, they're kind of the same energy on a spectrum. Shame is like a more intensified version of unworthiness and guilt. And anger, life's against me, life's unfair, can't get what I want or need, which spiraled around. I can't get what I want to feel safe and need to feel safe. So I was even more angry, trying even harder, then feeling even more unworthy because I couldn't quite seem to manage to feel safe. And these beliefs were in everyone. And they're playing in our emotions and our life because we don't currently or haven't had the tools to work with them, to recognize them. So what we do then is when we find this story, we turn that into a question. Is that actually true? So if we take I'm not safe, that felt so true. My body would scream at me, yes, that's extraordinarily true. What's the point of even questioning? Why would you even question that? But when I actually began to question, I could not, for the time that I was questioning, believe the thought. So you can't believe a thought, which is, what is it when you believe a thought? It's really only when you put a lot of attention on it, or a story. A lot of attention on it makes it seem very true because you start to experience that thought as your life. Let's remember that we really are the infinite self with infinite power. And that power is going to flow through whichever thought form you force it to go through and take the shape of that thought, so that life has no option but to agree with you. Yes, you're not safe. Life isn't against us, it's neutral. It's like a mirror. It's going to reflect back to us wherever we are. If we believe life isn't fair, you can kind of tell what kind of experiences are going to come from that. We've all been living it, haven't we? So just looking at this story, when you get the story, asking it what the story is, and then, is that really true? From a place of curiosity, if you can. And for me, it didn't even actually matter if it was true or not. I was just so relieved for 10, 30 seconds not to be in this intense panic mode. The question stopped me believing, because you can't believe something is true and ask if it's true. They are polar opposites, aren't they? And even if we try to look at the thought, it's just going to bring more attention to it and make it seem even more real. The only thing we can do is bring our attention away by challenging it gently. Well, is that actually true? As a separate being, as someone alone in the world, it feels extraordinarily true. But as I see who I really am, and I ask that question, well, is it true? Then begin to get some space from the story. And perhaps most importantly, you can't suffer while you're asking any question. You can't think a thought, believe a thought, and ask a question at the same time. It's literally impossible. So what we're doing then is we're not using the old thought patterns. So something happens in our life that triggers the fear, and then we go, as soon as we can. If we can't do it while it's flooding the system, that's okay. But as soon as we get calm enough, is it really true I'm not safe? Then you're taking attention away from, mind would start to go, the stories that mind tells every time that thing happens. And it spins these same old stories, which just perpetuate the next cycle, set up the next event. So we look for the major negative emotion, and there might be a few. For me, when I ran out of money, there was anger. Here I am again. Self-blame. Why have I not managed to fix this yet? Fear. You're not going to have enough. What are you going to do? All of those all together. So I just started with the loudest one first, which was fear. And then I went with anger, and I just questioned this every time it came up. Is it really true I'm not safe? And contemplation then is simply the art of asking a question. Coming back to the question, gently challenging this story that has been given so much airtime that we're living the story because we didn't know that it wasn't true, and we didn't know how to move away from it. Even if we know that it's not true, we might not often know how to bring attention away. And even in the middle of meditation, sometimes it's coming up so much because it's asking to be examined. So when we ask any question like this, what's going to happen, and we'll do this live in a few minutes. If you want to do this with me, feel free to put your hand up on Zoom, and I'll very shortly we'll do some live. First thing that's going to happen is you get usually a lot of thought answers. Is it really true I'm not safe? And your mind will say, of course not, you are the infinite self. And then it will say, yes, you're going to run out of money. Yes, it's very true. And on it goes, and everything. Then emotional answers. And then we have even deeper, if we stay with the question, we don't treat any answer specially. They're all answers, all equal. Some we like more than others, but they're all allowed. And if someone were to knock on the door, or you got an itch on your foot, or you sneezed, or anything went on, car drives past, that's an answer too. We're including everything that happens when you ask the question. As you stay with the question, you get deeper and deeper down through the layers, the thoughts, the emotions, sensations, And then you get to this deeper level eventually of experiential answer where your body, there's some shift in the body where it's sometimes even the question doesn't make sense anymore. Of course I'm safe. How can I not be? Or there's some recognition. We're not doing it for that though. We're doing it because we can't believe a thought while we're asking a question. And you can just incorporate this, your 20 minutes meditation, you can do your 10 minutes contemplation, or 5 minutes if that's all you've got time for, on the emotion that's coming up for you each day, the strongest emotion that you feel. And then whenever you get triggered by something, whenever it comes, when it's happening, as soon as you can, coming back to the question. So let's do this live now. It's easier to see how it actually works as we go through. So we'll go to Sandra. It was very quick off the draw there.
Hi, Helen.
Hi, how are you doing?
Okay, yeah. Well, we've spoken yesterday about this sort of feeling I had in my gut, and the sort of pain and the sickness that's sort of ongoing, comes and goes. And we talked about feeling powerless. And I just thought it was time for me to sort of maybe do this with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So is there an emotion that comes with it?
Anger sometimes,
Yeah.
because it's reoccurring and I'm just fed up with it. It's sort of limiting me. Sometimes just despair.
Which one is louder at the moment, just for time's sake here? Obviously, you can apply the same process to which other emotion you don't choose to do here with me, but
I'll go with the anger then.
okay, so setting it aside for a moment from what you think you're angry about, so the situation going on in your body, just the anger itself, because the reason it perpetuates is mine says I'm angry that this thing is happening, but actually this thing is happening because I'm angry. So if you can get to just anger on its own, just feeling into that as much as you can right now. It might not be there fully or at all, but just as much as you can connect with it. What's the story there? If it was a person or someone with a mouth, what would it say to you? Take your time.
Sort of, I can't get what I want. I'm sort of stuck.
I'm stuck, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose I'm this feeling of being stuck and can't move on.
So
Can't move on.
what kind of question do you want to turn? Is it true I can't move on, or is it true I'm stuck, or which words you feel, which words inside your body feel most relevant?
Is it really true I'm stuck? Because I'm stuck with this sort of thing.
So let's just do this contemplation together then. And I said the word do, but all we're literally going to do is ask this question. Is it really true I'm stuck? And we're not making any effort at all to find any answers. I'm sure the mind will be happy to give us some anyway. So if you could just help us by telling us what kind of answers are coming. Let's include sounds in your environment, sensations in the body, anything and everything that happens.
I can feel an anxiety in the body.
Yeah. So kind of emotional answer. So we're asking about anger, but interestingly, some fear comes connected to,
fear, nervousness.
So we don't obviously like that feeling, but we're just going to let it be there. It's just an answer. And just gently coming back to the question, is it really true I'm stuck?
There's some birds outside. Yeah. some wind coming through the window.
A welcome breeze today.
Yes, definitely.
Just coming back to the question, again, not making any effort. We're just watching, like we're watching a movie, like what's going to happen here?
Another bird.
So we're not trying to fix anything. The question is the most important thing. Does your body feel any different since you started asking the question?
Yeah, yeah.
Better or worse?
No, better.
Better, yeah.
The anxiety sort of calming down a bit.
Is it really true I'm stuck?
A bit of itch on the foot.
And our mind may not think that an itch on your foot is an answer, but we're going to include, we have a tendency to fixate on the thoughts and the emotions only, so we're going to open it up to all the answers.
Yeah, it seems to, the space is opening up.
Some spaciousness then. Is it really true I'm stuck?
It seems to be slowing down. Everything seems to be slowing down.
Did you say slowing down?
Yeah, slowing down.
So just staying with the question. Well, when we don't question, we actually have the experience of being stuck, feeling stuck. When we come to the question, things begin to slow down and change. The body begins to relax a little bit. Again, that's not why we're doing it. It's just one of the nice bonuses. Never really actually, I've always assumed this to be true, but is it actually? Can I be stuck? Am I stuck? You're smiling.
Yeah, there's more silence. I can hear the silence. It's sort of,
But even the silence, when it presents itself, the infinite silence, still not the right answer. There's no right answer. It's just one of the nicer answers, isn't it?
yeah.
And does the question seem relevant here?
No.
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 So we fixate on the top answers here. The first answer is the thoughts and the emotions, and the body responds to these thoughts, lives these thoughts. I'm stuck. But as we stay with the question, we go down through the layers and into these experiential answer. I'm not stuck. There's silence here. How does your belly feel? That knot in the gut?
A lot better. Lot better.
So you might have to question this a few times and be consistent with it every time it kind of flares up, because it's such a big neural pathway in the brain, isn't it? I've thought this way for so long that there's a momentum of habit with it. But even the first time you've seen, it isn't really true, actually. When I think it's true and don't question, I experience it. It's very real. As soon as I question, start to go, whoa, it's just like in this three-dimensional hallucination or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Wonderful.
you.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Well done. Well done. Caro, so we'll take these hands that are up, and then we'll see how much time we've got left. When you're ready, Caro.
Hello.
Hi.
I would like to do a contemplation with the word. 1 second. Worthy, deserving.
Deserving worthiness, yeah. What's the actual emotion? Does it feel like unworthiness?
Is that I can get what I want?
And how does that, is that, what emotions show up in your life day to day? What's the loudest emotion?
That I don't have enough value.
See, that's the thought. I'm looking for the emotion.
Emotion.
And the reason I'm asking this is because if we assume we know what the story is, instead of going to the emotion first and finding the story, it might be that this is what the story is, but it's always good to double check, because sometimes our mind will do this. It will give you a story and say, here's the story, but it might not get to the root of the actual issue. So looking for, is it shame, guilt, anger, sadness, frustration? What's the kind of, if you had to put a label on the emotion, what would that be?
Frustration.
Frustration. Okay. So feeling that frustration as much as you can right now, getting in touch with it, and not allowing it to connect with any outer circumstances. I'm frustrated because, just for the time being, and just in its root form, what story does frustration want to tell us? Take your time with this.
Not good enough.
I'm not good enough, did you say? So do you want to turn that into a question? Is that true? Does that feel like the right question? Is it true I'm not good enough? Take your time with this, because it's important just to, and let your body guide you. Your body will say, yeah, that's a good question. I feel that. It's alive in me.
For me, what I feel is that I can get what I want because I don't feel deserving about the things that I really want with all my heart.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I feel. When I want something, sometimes I feel fear that I can get that. I can have some security in anything, in finances, relationship, job.
So all of that is hanging off this idea that you're not good enough. If you were good enough, says the mind, you'd be able to fix all that, right? Something like that.
It's like I can get what I want.
Okay, let's go with that one. Yeah, if that feels right to you.
Okay.
Yeah. You tell
Yeah.
me, because this is your contemplation. Does that feel like the right story, that I can't get what I want?
Yes.
Okay, so let's just ask that together then. Is it true I can't get what I want? And again, we're not making anything happen. We're just watching you and me hanging out with the question. Is it really true I can't get what I want? Just noticing all the types of answers that are coming and just sharing those with us if you don't mind.
I feel some movement in my stomach.
Yeah, some kind of energy or something.
Mm-hmm. And some thought that is, yes, you can get what you want.
Uh-huh. So some thought answers, some energy answers. And whatever answer we get, we're just going to stay with the question, because the question is the most important thing. We're immune to suffering. There might be sensations going on that are unpleasant, but we can't be suffering while we're asking the question, which is the most important thing. Is it really true? I can't get what I want.
I feel some, like it's energy here.
Uh-huh. Is it really true? I can't get what I want. I really would like to actually find out rather than just assuming.
I feel some frustration, like I see everybody with things, but I can't get these things.
So thought answers here and an emotion answer. Frustration, yeah. Just
Sadness,
sadness too, yeah.
miserable.
Mm-hmm. And just gently coming back to the question. We're not making any answer special. There's no right or wrong answer. Is it really true? Can't get what I want.
Feel like that there is no space for me.
Uh-huh. Just relaxing into the question. Let's make sure you're not working hard here. All you got to do, I could see your face starting to frown a bit. All you got to do is just come back to the question, run the question through your mind once or twice. Is that actually true? I've had many experiences of it being true, but I'm not going to rely on my experience. I want to actually find out.
I feel like energy here.
Mm-hmm. Remember, just like you're watching a movie, you've got your popcorn out, we're just seeing what happens. Put your feet up and not working hard. Is that actually true?
Feel something here in my stomach.
Huh? How does the rest of your body feel overall? More relaxed or not?
I don't, because I have a lot of pressure here, but I am okay, okay?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because I am not okay, my body is not okay, or it's for the question.
It's both, right? They're both the same thing. The belief shows up as a physical thing, a literal physical thing, and then also some energy and some emotion too, frustration, sadness.
It's like something very heavy here.
Yeah. So it's like a frequency of vibration and energy type of answer. And we
And
just
also
come
hot.
into the thoughts, yeah, another answer. Yeah. And just thanking all these answers, but coming back to the question anyway. You're smiling.
Yes, it's like creating like a space, like open
More
away.
space, more lightness, yeah. And again, this isn't the right answer. It's a nicer feeling answer, but we don't need to grab a hold of this either. It's just another answer. We can enjoy it, but let's just stay with the question for a few more seconds here together. The longer we stay with the question, the more pleasant the phenomenal answers become. See, there's an answer right there. She's got a kiss. Yeah. Can you see the connection there?
I feel hot.
So just stay with that question. I'm going to move on to Jess, but I want you to stay with that question. Just enjoy that, right? That's happening now. Okay.
I feel neutral now. No, boom, boom, no.
Wonderful. Just practicing like this, just whatever answers come are answers. Some of them very nice, some of them not so nice. But none of them are special or right or wrong, yeah? Wonderful. Well done. Thank you. Okay, we will go to Jess.
Hey, Helen.
Hi. I love the new hairdo.
Well, it's a mess. It's waiting to get cut. So nice to see you. Thank you. And thanks, everybody. Good to be with everybody.
So what we're going to look at today together, what emotion is shouting at you loudly? Or most
Well, for the last few days, it's been sadness.
sadness, yeah.
Just sad. Yeah.
So what does sadness, again, not allowing it to kind of attach itself to a situation going on just for the time being, because that's how it kind of perpetuates. What if you were just sad and these things were mirror images of that? So what does the sadness want to say?
Gotta move with you. There's a FedEx guy at my door.
Uh-huh.
It's my debit card. Okay, thank you. Are you number 4? Yes. Okay, thank you, sir. So what it's trying to tell me, I think, and has been trying to tell me the last few days, is that I don't matter.
Did you say that you don't matter?
Yeah, I don't matter.
Okay. So as horrible as that is to discover that idea is in there, now we can actually begin to question it, can't we? Yeah. So let's turn that into a question then. Is it true? I don't matter. Again, we're not working hard. We're not trying to find answers even. We're just seeing what answers come.
Well, the first thing that comes is my feeling in my stomach and then also in my heart chakra.
Yeah. So just letting those answers be there. Might not be so pleasant, but just doing your best to feel them. And coming back to the question anyway, is it true? Is it actually true I don't matter?
There's a lot of energy in this part of my head.
Yeah. So you can feel as soon as we are not believing that, because if we're not questioning them, we're believing. There's only two options we have. As soon as we ask the question, energy is suddenly free to begin to move, isn't it? Let's just stay with the question again. Again, not trying to make anything happen. We're just open to see what answers want to come.
It feels really old.
Yeah.
It's sad.
You're doing so well, being so brave.
There's shame that comes up. Yeah. It feels like I'm being greedy, like I'm not grateful for what I have.
So thought answers and emotions, you know, and some sticky ones. Again, not pleasant, but also not the wrong answer. Yeah. So,
So old.
whenever you can, then just gently coming back to the question, is it true, actually true, that I don't matter?
Really true. I don't matter. And suddenly there was like a flattening. I can't explain it other than there's a flattening.
A flattening, did you say? Yeah. So again, and there's a deep breath. The body took a deep breath. There's a kind of answer too. Yeah. And just staying with the question gently, gently. Is it actually true?
It was like lifetimes.
Yeah. Been carrying this for
Really
a very, very long time.
Is it really true?
Is it actually true? I'd like to find out instead of suffering from the assumption. Is it actually true? I don't matter.
Wow. This seems like a little bit more of an opening.
Yeah. Done really well there to let that emotion come out. It's been trapped under the assumption, hasn't it? Couldn't move.
And then there's the thought that I haven't mattered to myself.
Yeah.
And that's what's reading this.
And asking this question like this is a form of self-love, isn't it? I'm willing to actually find out rather than carry on like this.
I don't want to suffer.
All supporting you here. We're all proud of you. It's not easy to face these emotions, but they can finally come out now. Finally come out and leave the leave the body. Just coming back to the question. Whenever you feel, is it true? I don't matter.
Oh, me. I'm gonna have the boo-haws again.
Here comes the laughter. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, me. Oh. Oh. I just feel sorry for little mini me. Oh. Another answer.
Another deep breath. Good. So the body's just starting now. This charge has been able to leave it. It's just a little more relaxed. It can relax a little, right? It's been living, very literally living this idea, and kind of curled up tightly to protect itself somehow. Just coming back to the question. Let's just stay with it for 1 or 2 more minutes.
Very true. Very true. I don't matter.
Does the question feel different when you ask it now?
Yeah, it does.
You can feel you every time you ask, less and less believed. Just maybe a tiny bit, or maybe a big bit, but like 2% of my ability to believe has gone every time I ask, or 1% or whatever, right? You feel it doesn't feel as true as it did. Still feels true to some degree, but not completely true, not absolutely true. Yeah.
And I think, Helen, that's been the biggest gift that you have given me is this question, you know, am I asking a question or am I thinking a thought, believing a thought?
When you get how freeing it is to ask a question, you can just hang out in a question all the time, you know? Because it opens the body and the mind. So some laughter here coming.
Well, I don't anyway.
One more time. Let's ask the question
Thank
just
you so
one more
much.
time.
Is it really true? I really don't matter. There's still some sadness around believing that for so long.
Yeah. And it might bubble up every now and again, a little pocket of it that's been trapped somewhere. But it's different, isn't it now? It's actually, as you're crying, it's coming out rather than just going around again for another. You can feel something's different, like a pressure release or something. Yeah. Wonderful. Wonderful. So just maybe sitting with this 5 or 10 minutes a day. You've done so well. You've been so brave to share that with us. When I first started contemplating, I was laughing, crying, and snotting all at the same time, I think. So, and probably drool as well at some point. So, yeah, it wasn't pretty, you know. You've done very, very well. We didn't make anything happen. We just asked the question, right? We didn't work hard. Yeah. Wonderful. Well done. Thank you for being so brave. Thank you. Love you. Okay, we'll go to Laurel. Last but not least.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
So last night, one of my buddies who I've been talking about going to India with wrote and said, well, now I don't think I'm going to go because it's going to cost too much. And I got really scared. And I was like, oh, and then I got mad because I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know how much it costs, because then I know I won't be able to go. And so I'm in this state of being mad, being sad, and being afraid. All of it. It's all coming up.
What's the biggest one? Or, you know,
Oh, I'm always can cry. You know, that's my go-to. I can always, you know, it's like I'm almost rooting for anger. You know, it's like I know I have so much anger stored up in me from my whole life of suppressing it. You know, so I kind of want to like dig in there, but
do you actually feel it? Because
no,
with the story, we have to find the story based on what's actually playing in the system. You know,
yeah,
again, it could be a very subtle way of resisting.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's sad. I'm sad.
Sad. So what does sadness say? Again, not about money or India, just sitting there on its own. What would it say? How does it feel about life in general?
I'm all alone. Talk about a separate self thing. That's it.
And, you know, nobody really wants to admit that that's in there, but once you find it, then you can begin to turn that around. So let's turn that into a question.
Okay.
Is it true? I'm all alone.
I'm all alone.
Because maybe you can see, if you really deep down, not consciously, but somewhere in your cells, believe you're all alone, you kind of have to not have the money to go be with everyone else, right? It kind of has to show up that way. So let's really dig into this. Not working hard, just curious. Like, I want to actually challenge this in a loving way. Is it actually true I'm all alone?
I see an old picture or image of myself as a young child, alone in my bedroom.
Yeah. It's a kind of memory answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
It may not feel good at all, but so it might come with an emotional answer too. Excuse me.
Yeah, it's sad, more sadness.
So let's come back gently to the question again, not making the emotion wrong or anything. We just don't want to linger on any particular answer for too long. There's no
Okay.
special right answers or wrong answers. Is it actually true I'm all alone?
You're an airplane.
Yeah. That type of answer.
I can feel my chest rising and falling.
Mm-hmm. Is this actually true?
I don't know.
So there's an answer to I don't actually know. How does that one feel? Does it come with an emotion?
Like a relief.
Uh-huh. Because the heavy burden of being certain that this is true is quite an energetic thing to carry, isn't it? What a
Yeah.
heavy load.
Yeah.
So finally, actually, truthfully, I don't really know. It's a huge relief for me. But let's not stop there. As good as that is.
Yeah. Is it really true that I'm all alone?
Mm. Just watching and seeing what answers come, not making anything happen. It's not a doing, it's just a watching and a seeing.
What's it like? I'm feeling like I want to twirl around.
Let us know before you do that because we might get a little dizzy. Yeah.
I know. Is it really true that I'm all alone?
How does the question feel now? Does it feel the same as when you first asked it?
No. Feels lighter. Feels lighter. Yeah, it feels like I want to keep asking this question.
Mm. And somewhere in the middle, it shifts from I'm asking this because I feel terrible to I'm asking this because I'm actually really curious. Like,
Yeah,
has this
that's
ever
right.
been true, actually? Yeah.
Well, I've sure believed it to be true. So, but
Yeah.
is it true?
It's like for me, it was startling and shocking to realize I'd never actually once had the impetus to actually ask if it's true. It's just always been assumed and taken. I guess we didn't know we could even do that, right? So the only option we had then was to go with it. But now here we are, we can ask this.
Yeah, it feels like a really big relief.
Yeah.
To be able to do that. Yeah. Mm.
Just stay with it for one more minute.
Okay. Is it really true that I'm all alone? My phone's ringing.
See that, right? You're not alone. Somebody's calling
Somebody
you.
wants to talk to me. Unless it's the wrong number.
I was so lonely at one point. I even talked to the cold callers, you know. That was pretty much the lowest point of my awakening. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So just obviously these beliefs have been biggies for all of us. So, you know, a little daily, setting aside 5 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever you want to do, just to separate to meditation, everything else, just I'm gonna just be with this because I'm actually really starting to like how it feels to ask a question. Yeah. Wonderful. Well done. Thank you so much for being so brave.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So thank you to everyone there that was so brave and sharing live with us here, because I think you'll agree it's so much easier to see it done and then we see how it works. So as simple as asking a question, finding the story from the emotion, asking the question, and whatever answer comes, whatever answer comes, even if you had a huge epiphany, you know, and you're laughing and crying and, you know, all that stuff, it's just another answer. If we make any answer right, we're giving it this specialness, and we've closed our attention, our energy is open, our attention is open with the question. If we zoom into any particular answer, we'll start to feel constructed again. Maybe not straight away if it's something wonderful happening, but eventually, and again, when we will do that, we'll focus on some answer, some old familiar thoughts or an emotion that comes up or an experience. And then when we notice we've done that, because your body will tell you, hey, you're fixed on one answer again. Or your finances will tell you, if you're like me, in your relationships, or all of those at once. And then you just coming back to the question as soon as you realize. And you want to ask the question every time it kind of comes up, this emotion, until either the emotion has stopped happening, because it is possible to live without any negative emotions. And once this stuff has left the system and you've changed the thought structure, that's it. So, or the situation that seems to trigger in the first place has completely turned around to the opposite experience, whatever that would look like. And before you even get to the end of the emotion, you'll be so in love with asking a question that you won't even care, because you'll be asking it because it just feels so nice to be open, to feel freer, to be immune to believing any thoughts at all. While you're asking one question, you can't be believing any thoughts at all. So thank you so much for those that shared. As I said, it takes guts to do, and I really appreciate it. And if you are stuck on some yourself, you can always write in and ask, or we can do another one of these. Remember to check that list of emotions and beliefs to give you a head start if you find it challenging. Thank you so much for being here with me. Thank you. Namaste.